She's gonna be so mad.
She's gonna be pissed.
So Rosianna and I are very talented young women. Not to toot our own horns, but they are horny and plentiful.
Ooh.
And one of the things that we haven't done, the feather in our caps, in our mutual cap, is that we haven't done a podcast until now.
Boom!
We want to start a podcast about romance, dating.
We're experts.
We're huge experts, big experts in the field. I know what a man looks like. I am a serial monogamist, so I have that kind of side of the spectrum.
I'm a serial singleton. And like casual data when there are dates available to be taken.
Taken.
To be taken.
Taken.
Yeah.
Take them. Cheers.
Take.
Cheers. So for literally no reason, we are starting a like love, relationships, romance, advice podcast. We're trying to keep it on the kind of light-hearted side, mostly because we maybe are not experts. So don't always take our advice seriously. Also, we haven't actually looked into how we're going to do this podcast, but it's a thing that is gonna hopefully happen. So let us know in the comments if you would listen to this.
Yeah, please do. We want to hear you.
Don't eat out of the bin. Sorry.
That's also really great romance advice.
Never eat out of the bin of life.
So we asked for some questions on Twitter. Questions.
Why can't you just fall head over heels for a guy and let him know without it making you sound desperate/crazy? The title of this video and the podcast comes from advice that Rosianna always used to give me.
It is very gendered, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be talking about heteronormative situations.
The reason I bring this up is because A, it's the title of the podcast, and B, because when I have a crush on somebody now, I just tell them, I just have to tell them, and not if like they're in a relationship or if I'm in a relationship, but if it's a situation where something could come of it, I always tell that person. And it has not always gone well for me, but I'm always glad I've done it, because I would rather know than not know. Like, I would rather have some certainty and like know where I stand. I can just be like, is it okay that I like you? And then see what happens.
I think it's great to be direct. I'm really in favour of being direct and just telling people, even if it's like, I like you, or I'm curious about kissing you, or should we kiss? Would you be okay with that? Like something like that. I'm fine with that.
I feel like you're asking me.
You always have to be mindful that the other person could say no. It's completely their right to say no, or they could also say, I don't know right now.
I was rejected once. I told someone I liked them, you know, in my kind of subtle way of being like, is this okay? And he never texted back. And we just never spoke again, except that I do see him occasionally. And I showed him the text the other day and it was great, because I just thought it was funny.
Okay.
Drink to forget. Anyway, I hope that was vaguely helpful. We are in favour of just telling people. It doesn't make you crazy, it doesn't make you desperate. Just telling somebody you have feelings for them or that you're interested in them. That's just the thing that happens in the world.
And it's a more efficient approach. Just get us out of the way.
Yeah. Make out with him.
Make out with him.
Other question, how do you find someone when your friends tell you guys are intimidated by your confidence/feminism in dating?
It's like the Princess and the Pea. There are so many mattresses in this situation. It's a massive onion you have to peel back. Firstly, there's a question that your feminism automatically should be intimidating, which I don't think it should be. I think it's just who you are. Secondly though, there are people who do find feminism intimidating, or it affects the way that they talk to you about things, or sometimes it just like, they just don't know how sometimes to say I don't know, or they don't know sometimes that they don't know, and that makes it difficult to communicate. But then there's this whole other side of it where your friends have decided for you maybe what is wrong or right for you, and have kind of maybe given you a bit of insecurity about that by saying like, oh well, you know,
Guys
you're
don't like
blonde.
that.
Guys don't like that.
They do.
They really do.
I agree, and I think I personally like being intimidating, which maybe like lots of people don't like. I was a doormat of a person for such a long time that if people find me intimidating now, I love it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, I want to be approachable and nice to the majority of people, but if they're a little intimidated by me when they meet me, that's good. I like that. I think you can tell quite early on if someone's belief system kind of matches up with yours. Like, I've literally been on dates where it's like on the second date I've been like, okay, so clearly this isn't gonna work because like you're not down with the whole feminism thing, and for me that's really, really important. But I think it's a bit of a myth that like a lot of people are going to be on board. Like, people that I have dated have all been very on board. Sometimes there's a lot of learning to be done, but they're willing to learn, and that's the important thing. If a guy finds your feminism like a turn off, then you probably don't want to be with that person. Like, I would not have any interest in being with someone who was like, oh God, rights for women, please no, keep it away.
I find it's like some of the best connections I've had, whether romantic or otherwise, have been when I've met people in like spaces or at events that are to do with things that I really care about.
I found somebody on a dating website, that was my last boyfriend, and actually dating websites can be helpful in that you can kind of weed out the people, because the questions are often like, do you believe that men and women should be equal? Do you believe that a woman should have to like have a baby if she's pregnant and stuff like that? And those are actual questions that are asked. That could also be helpful, because if you're like 99% compatible with somebody through your belief system, that's a good jumping off point. So dating websites, not all bad. Is it normal to feel a bit bored of your relationship after 2 years? Does it pass? It depends what you mean by bored, because if by bored you mean like you've settled into a routine and things are kind of expected and it's not super exciting or romantic, I think that probably is to be expected and normal. If you're having just a bit of a panic because you feel like everything's too settled, I don't know how old you are, but like maybe you're at an age when you don't want to be settled, and that's fine. You don't have to be like, because I'm in this relationship, I have to stay in this relationship. You don't. But I also think that that kind of like boredom of like settling down and like finding your kind of pace with this person, for me that's really nice. You should also talk to the person you're in a relationship with about these things, because they're probably having the same experience. They might be having the same experience as you, and there are things you can do to spice up your relationship. No, but seriously, like if it is a problem and you feel like we're both just kind of falling into a rut, talk about it. Like, it's hard to talk about, but I think you should just be able to talk about it with someone that you have been with for a while. You can just decide if you want to like do new fun things, try new stuff. I don't mean in the bedroom, even though everything I say sounds like I mean in the bedroom. Talk, communicate, and you know, if you do feel like you're in a place where you don't want to be settled and bored, you know, maybe you're in that place. I'm just saying, maybe you're in that place. Cheers! So that was our advice. And if we make this podcast, which I hope we will make this podcast, then you will be getting lots more of this quality content. So yeah, do let us know in the comments below if you are interested in listening to a podcast of this. And if you have any questions that you want us to answer, please also leave them in the comments. In the future, there will probably be, yeah, like an email address you can email with your questions, so you don't have to post them on YouTube, but we haven't sorted anything out yet. We are also doing another kind of pilot of this podcast over on Rosianna's channel, so go watch the second half of this madness. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Doei.
Doei. We can't do the same joke twice.
Why?